What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sally Jensen with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Hundreds of Taiwanese tourists have been left stranded in Vietnam over the Lunar New Year holidays after a breakdown in communication with their travel agency. Horserace reports.
Hundreds of tourists stranded in Vietnam, desperate for information and justice. Members of a tour group from Taiwan, they were expecting a smooth and relaxing Lunar New Year trip to the Vietnamese island of Phu Quoc, but were instead given an ultimatum on the second day of their tour. Pay $720 each, or you're on your own. The tour was organised by Taiwanese operator We Love Tour, in cooperation with Vietnamese travel agency Winner, and it was Winner who was asking travellers to pay, because they say the Taiwanese tour company didn't send them the money. Almost 300 people joined the tour group. Taiwan's Tourism Administration says that over 100 of them paid the money demanded by the Vietnamese travel agency. Taiwan's We Love Tour says miscommunication about payment dates caused the issue.
经过了澄清，才知道说彼此的在认知上或是沟通上有一些差异点啊。在当地的那些旅客，那代表年代旅游跟各位说声抱歉。
We Love Tour says they've struck a deal with Winner to pay all fees by the end of February, a solution that's too little, too late for many of the tourists.
必须要把我们4个月前就已经交给他的全额81万多，必须要退还给我们。
Remaining members of the failed tour are expected to fly back to Taiwan over the coming days. And We Love Tour says refunds will be arranged.
我们会在开工完，我们就会跟客人去做退刷的，甚至赔偿的一个处置啊。
Taiwan's Tourism Administration says it will investigate We Love Tour to determine if they violated travel agency regulations and ensure the tourists make it back safely, if not disgruntled, about their disastrous Lunar New Year vacation. Ryan Wu and Horserace for TaiwanPlus.
Israel's airstrikes on the Gaza Strip on Monday have reportedly brought the death toll in the enclave to over 28,000. We bring you the latest on the ongoing conflict. Mai al-Najjar is among several young children receiving urgent treatment in a hospital in the Gazan city of Rafah. But while she escaped with her life, her father was less fortunate.
كنا في الخيمة أنا وكل أهلي وإحنا والطلاب كله إجا علينا والرصاص بابا راح يشوف شو فيه لقى حكى لنا فيه ضرس انقصفت وهو قاعد بيحكي وكنا شردنا.
He was one of over 70 people Palestinian TV reports say were killed overnight in Israeli airstrikes on Monday.
تقتل أهلي ليش وهم نايمين؟ أطفال أنا إلي من الفجر لهالقيت وأنا بلف أشلاء أهلي كل هيتم قطع مش عارف أتعرف على أهلي بتعرف من أصبع رجله من أصبع إيده.
This latest attack by Israel is part of an ongoing campaign which started 4 months ago. Israel says it intends to eliminate Hamas, the militant group that governs the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military rescued 2 civilian hostages during the mission on Rafah. There were hugs and tears of relief as they reunited with their families on the outskirts of the Israeli city Tel Aviv on Tuesday.
And it was very emotional to see them, to hug them, to feel them. It feels almost unreal.
The hostages were among a group taken by Hamas militants who raided Israel on October 7th last year, during which some 1,200 people died. That attack led to Israel's campaign to destroy Hamas in the Gaza Strip, killing over 28,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, according to reports. International organizations have condemned Israel's latest actions in Rafah, where some 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering from the fighting. On Tuesday, the United Nations Human Rights Office called for a ceasefire.
The prospect of such an operation into Rafah risks further atrocity crimes. The world must not allow this to happen. Those with influence must restrain rather than enable. There must be an immediate ceasefire.
Israel has said it will not end the war until it achieves total victory over Hamas. But with buildings reduced to rubble, family members lost, and hopes for survival diminishing, for the people living in the Gaza Strip, an end to the conflict could not come soon enough. Indonesia heads to the polls on Wednesday to elect a new president and other representatives. This year, it's all about young people. Louise Watt reports.
Dancing on stage to rally the crowds, and the young people watching on their phones. This is Prabowo Subianto, who's running to be Indonesia's president. His Instagram and TikTok-friendly images are a far cry from his role as a former army general accused of rights abuses. But they've helped propel him to lead the race for Indonesia's next president.
He doesn't look like a hard-nosed general like previous elections. He portrayed himself as like your grandpa, like your next-door uncle.
That's because Prabowo is trying to appeal to a key demographic in these elections. More than half of voters are aged between 17 and 40, and a third are under 30. Jobs are a key concern for them. Prabowo is 72, but his running mate is half his age, the son of the current president, Joko Widodo, who has served the maximum 2 terms in office.
Generasi milenial, generasi Z.
They're not the only ones trying to appeal to young voters in what is the world's 3rd largest democracy, after India and the United States. On TikTok, presidential candidate Ganjar Pranowo, the former governor of one of Indonesia's most populous provinces, and his running mate pose like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. They're pledging to create 17 million new jobs and expand social welfare. The final candidate, Anies Baswedan, a former academic and Jakarta governor, wants to update the country's cities and create more jobs. He's been getting his message out via TikTok live streams.
Dari mimpi jadi nyata ya. Memang begitu perjalanannya.
Anies has also turned to K-pop culture to whip up support, holding campaign events in cafes like fans do when their pop idols have birthdays.
Pemilu gitu ya, rasanya seru banget. Karena apalagi aku juga K-popers kan, jadi acara kayak gini pasti seru banget.
Candidate personality has been taking centre stage in this election, and it's the former general Prabowo, having reinvented his image, who has consistently led the polls. He's pledged to follow current President Widodo's policies to make Indonesia one of the world's top 5 economies by 2045. To win, a candidate has to get 50% of the votes. If that doesn't happen, the top 2 candidates will compete again to capture the attention of younger voters in a second and final round in June. Andy Xue and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Power and stamina rule this traditional form of horse racing in Japan. Our reporter Bryn Thomas looks at why Banye Keiba is pulling in more crowds than before.
As a sport, Banye Keiba is probably more akin to powerlifting than racing. These horses in Hokkaido in Japan's north plod rather than trot or gallop, dragging a 600-kilogram sledge 200 meters down a dirt track. They don't move much faster than a person can walk, but every step is a spectacle of raw power.
辛いとは思うんですけど、でもやっぱりそれでも頑張れという応援の気持ちは出てくると思うんで、そこら辺を応援できるのは大きいかなと思いますね。
Banye Keiba races take place regularly in the city of Obihiro. The sport's origins stretch back to Japanese farmers and laborers who settled in Hokkaido around 400 years ago, eventually displacing and assimilating the indigenous Ainu peoples.
で、バンエーバは物を引いて、そして人のためになってくれた。まあ今も言ったように材木を山から何トンもの材木を出してくれたり、それから畑仕事を一生懸命頑張って物を引いてね、頑張ってくれました。その名残がやっぱり物を引いた競争になっちゃったということだと思いますね。
What started as tug-of-war competitions was eventually refined into the modern horse racing scene here. Banye had been declining in popularity until the COVID-19 pandemic, when renewed interest spurred a comeback in the sport. Gambling on the event now generates nearly $400 million a year, 5 times more than it did just over a decade ago. Banye Keba's growing popularity is part of what makes the event so unique. In places like Singapore, which has a long history of horse racing, people are steadily losing interest in the faster form of the sport. The racehorses pulling the sleds in Banye also set it apart.
やっぱりサラブレッドはものすごくなんていうの改良されて出来上がったもう例えば車で言えばもうベンツとかロールスロイスですよね。でバンバはそれなくてもう荷物引くためにもう昔の古いトラックだと思ってくれればいいですね。そのぐらい違うと思ってます。
It's an apt description. The horses used are nearly twice as heavy as those used in racing, having once been used to drive plows and pull mining carts. Critics of the sport point to its use of whips, but enthusiasts insist that they don't push the animals beyond their limit, and in an economy that's shifted to modern farming equipment, the practice keeps the animals rooted in local culture.
北海道はやっぱり馬に助けられたよと開拓ねしてそういうのをやっぱりまだまだ後世まで残さんとならないと思う。それにはやっぱりバンバがいるよという場所がなけりゃそういうことが残せないと思うしそれから言い伝えていけないと思う。
The future of this traditional sport looks bright, but a rise in popularity also means more attention and scrutiny by animal rights groups. For the moment, as long as the horses are allowed to pull sledges, Banye Keba seems set to continue to pull crowds. Chris Ma and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Team Taiwan has pulled off an impressive showing at an international tug-of-war competition in Sweden, taking home 6 medals. In a standout performance, Taipei's Jingmei Girls High School took gold after beating China in the 500-kilogram women's competition. Other teams from Taiwan bagged 2 more gold and 3 silver medals in the women's, men's and mixed divisions over the weekend. Colourful lights are decorating the streets of Taiwan's oldest city as it hosts the 2024 Taiwan Lantern Festival. Philip Brassard reports.
Celebrating 400 years of history, the southern city of Tainan is glowing with lanterns and light displays. 2024 marks the first time the city has held the annual Lantern Festival in 16 years. It features installations by 30 foreign and domestic artists, each showcasing Tainan's colorful history and culture. Tourists and locals on break for the Lunar New Year holiday have been enjoying the displays, including Tainan's mayor, Huang Weizhe, who has assumed the role of tour guide.
在这个老街上面不仅有这个古色古香的庙，旁边有古色古香的餐厅。这个餐厅就是这个米其林必比登推荐的。
Other than its long history, Tainan is also famous for its cuisine, home to popular dishes such as beef soup, pot-roasted noodles, and fried oysters. Drone and fireworks shows will also feature in the festival over the Lunar New Year holidays, with the event due to run until March 10th. Ryan Wu, Reese Ayers, and Philip Brassard for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we sign off, loosen up with these images of a carnival in Bolivia's La Paz, celebrating local indigenous culture. I'm Sally Jensen. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Soaring through a sky where dreams fly, like a star in the shining high and bright.
Soaring into the year of the dragon. TaiwanPlus.